Hello and welcome to Fresh Perspectives. My name is Gail, and my guests today, I'm happy to say, are some of my friends from the Vegetarian Vegan Society. We have Joanne Zdrojewski, did I pronounce it right? And her daughter Mary Zdrojewski, and they're here today to talk about how changing their diets changed their lives. Now, I wanted to say first, Joanne, I remember when you were talking with Ann Watkins and I one day, and you said something about when Mary first started wanting to come to our dinners, that you thought we were some weird cult that she wanted to join, and but it wound up changing your life. Would you like to tell us how it changed your life? George Eisman was the speaker the first time you and Mary came, wasn't he?
Yeah, George Eisman, who I see you interviewed here. Yeah, he was the first speaker. What year was that? 2000?
May 2009.
2009. May 2000, like about mid-May. I heard George Eisman speak, and he was talking about the dangers of dairy. And the thing that struck me was his telling us, giving the facts about how milk is related to women's cancers. And he was talking about not wanting to be one of the 1 in 10 women at that time, which is now 1 in 8 women with breast cancer.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, 1 in 8 now. So it's not if you're going to get breast cancer, it's almost like when you're going to get breast cancer.
Yeah, and it's that way with men and prostate cancer, too. That's another thing that George often says, is that 100% of all the men who get prostate cancer are people that eat meat and dairy products. It's never shown up in a man that's on a fully plant-based diet. So anyways, you didn't know that you didn't know yet that you had a health problem, right? That you had cancer?
Right. I went home that night and I thought, this guy makes sense. So I checked it out first. I started reading things online. I read about Jane Plant that he mentioned.
Right.
Jane Plant and her journey with breast cancer, and how she came to the realization that dairy was the cause, and how stopping dairy reversed her breast cancer.
Yes, it's the bovine hormones that cause it, yes.
Yeah. So I decided that I was going to first give up dairy. I had been kind of on a vegetarian diet, but I was going to give up dairy. And I was still eating some meat at that point. But I gave up dairy. I announced it to my family on Memorial Day weekend of that year at a Memorial Day picnic, and I think they were a little annoyed with me. But that I'm going to give this a try. Well, I had been having some troubles, and I'd had a DNC and some tests, and I hadn't had the results yet. And it never crossed my mind that I had cancer. I had no symptoms, no indication. So I was really shocked when I went to the doctor just 2 weeks after giving up dairy, and he told me I already had uterine cancer. And I was angry because I thought, why didn't I know this years ago? Because I would have changed my diet years ago. And so I had to wait, because the doctor was on vacation or whatever, I had to wait a month before I had my surgery, my hysterectomy. And they had prepared me for what the possibilities were, that it could have spread to my lymph nodes, and that there may be treatments that I'd have to go through beyond the surgery. But then when they did the surgery, they found the cancer was very well contained. And I don't know if that's because of that month on the no dairy diet or not, but I can't ever really know for sure.
And during that month, you had not been eating any meat or anything either?
Very little meat, and definitely no dairy, no cheese, nothing. So I didn't need any treatments, and I said right then and there, I said, I'm never going back. You know, this is it, I'm never going back. And so that's when I started giving up the meat, fish, until I was totally vegan.
Right. Well, I'm really proud of both of you for what you've been able to do for yourselves. Now, Mary, you have sort of an odd health issue that's not very common, but it's genetic.
Yeah, I have a genetic disorder called mast cell activation syndrome. which it's called a rare disease, mostly because doctors haven't heard of it. But they estimate that probably 15% of Americans have it.
Oh, 15%?
Yeah.
Wow.
It's not very easy to diagnose, and it's not something you can cure. You know, there's no real tests for it. But it's mostly triggered by food allergies, and so I cut out all the foods that I was reacting to, and suddenly that vegan diet that I'd been following for so many years started to really take effect, and I lost a lot of weight and just feel really healthy now.
Now, you said that you're allergic to corn.
Yes.
Is a big one for you.
Yeah.
I meant to bring that piece of paper. I guess I did leave home without it, but you had handed out sheets of paper with a list of different ingredients found in all of the packaged foods and the vast majority of packaged foods in the store.
Yeah.
And this list is both sides of an 8 by 10 piece of paper. This list of ingredients that go by a wide range of different names.
Right, hundreds of names for corn.
Yeah, why don't you name a few of them off the top of your head for our viewing audience?
Well, some of the ones that I have the most severe reactions to are citric acid.
Citric acid.
Which people think is from citrus fruit, and
fruit.
it's not. It's made from mold grown on corn, and so that one's really bad. Anything that says natural flavors, like natural cinnamon flavor, natural vanilla flavor, that's all corn.
And sometimes all it says is natural flavors.
Yeah, it's just natural flavors.
You said that it was in, that corn was in the white vinegar?
Yes, white vinegar is distilled from corn usually. And they'll tell you, well, the corn is processed out, but it's corn allergy doesn't work that way. It's kind of on a molecular level. So if there's any trace of corn, a corn allergic person will still react to it. Yeah.
And why don't you tell them what the mast cells are?
So mast cells are a part of the immune system. They're these large purple cells in the immune system, and no one is exactly sure what they do. We know that they're present around wounds, so they think there's something to do with wound healing, and they think it's something to do with infections, fighting infections, but beyond that, we don't really know. But when they're triggered, they release histamine and a lot of different chemicals into the body. And so my mast cells, instead of being triggered just by wounds and infections, they're triggered by corn and by cloves and by scents like perfumes, by heat and sunlight. So then they release all those histamines and different chemicals when they shouldn't.
Now, when you say perfumes, do you mean just the commercial perfumes, or do you mean like the natural essential oils? Will they trigger it too?
If they're totally natural oils and they don't have any corn oil in them to like dilute them, then I'm fine with them. But any other artificial scents are bad. People always assume that I'm allergic to flowers. I'm like, no, I can smell flowers. That's a real smell. I can smell real vanilla beans, but any of the fake smells will make me sick.
Keeps a mask with her at all times.
Yeah, I always keep.
Oh, do you?
Yeah, I've got it with
One,
a
too.
charcoal filter. Yeah.
Okay. And you said I remember when you spoke for our Vegetarian Society dinner, I want you to tell people what happens to you if you wind up sitting next to somebody who's wearing perfume.
Oh, yeah. So if I sit next to someone wearing perfume, even if I can't smell it, if it's enough that I can inhale it, it starts off with stabbing stomach pains, like really excruciating pain. And then it moves on to full body itching, headaches, what they call brain fog, where you have trouble focusing on anything. My heart will start fluttering, tachycardia, and it goes downhill from there. I'll get just sicker and sicker.
I remember you saying something about your allergies can literally cause you to gain weight. You said that being exposed to the smell of perfume can cause you to gain like 5 pounds just off of the smell of the perfume?
Yeah, which sounds crazy, but it's because those mast cells are triggering and releasing the histamines and the chemicals, and it causes inflammation and swelling in all the body systems. And so that inflammation, just your body holds on to the weight and goes into survival mode.
So what is the mask made out of?
The mask itself is just a pretty mask, but the filter inside is coconut charcoal.
Coconut charcoal?
Yeah, because a lot of things are made from corn, so I was able to find one that was made from coconut instead.
Oh, yeah. So some masks actually are made from corn then, you mean? Like
Yeah.
maybe, is it in dust masks?
The dust masks that you buy in the store, they're usually just paper,
Oh,
but they're
okay.
coated with cornstarch.
Oh, are they
And so,
really?
like masks at a hospital, they would all be coated in cornstarch
Oh my
too.
gosh.
Yeah, she has to avoid things like paper plates, paper cups, straws. All those things are coated in cornstarch, so they don't stick together.
Yeah, even table salt has cornstarch or dextrose in it to keep it from sticking together.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
It's almost impossible to stay away from it, isn't it?
It is
and you
everywhere.
can't even eat at a restaurant.
No.
Because you don't know what ingredients might be in the food that you're being served.
Right. Every once in a while, we go a little crazy and we go to an Ethiopian restaurant because their food naturally doesn't have corn in it. So if they're making it the traditional way, it's fine. But even with that, we have to be careful. I never eat at a restaurant alone. I always eat with someone who knows what to look for if I have a serious reaction and knows how to use my EpiPens.
So you have to carry an EpiPen with you
Yeah.
all the time then.
Yep. I've never had to use it. There were times when I would have used one before I had one, but since I've had it, I've been careful enough. I haven't needed it. But I do use a lot of, I buy special Benadryl that gets compounded without corn.
Oh, I
And
see.
so-
It's different from the Benadryl we normally...
Yeah, Benadryl from the store all has corn in it.
Oh, gosh.
But I get mine compounded, and then usually I can stop a reaction with Benadryl.
And you said it also causes you to have anxiety, the corn allergy? Or is
Yeah.
it the overall thing that's problem that you have that causes that?
Mostly the corn allergy, but it's probably part of the overall mast cell disorder that causes the anxiety attacks. But corn is it causes them fast, and that's one of the symptoms of anaphylaxis. I didn't know that, but that feeling of impending doom and the heart racing heart, those are all anaphylaxis symptoms. So some of the panic attacks might have even been anaphylaxis, and I didn't realize mild anaphylaxis.
Well, you're probably lucky that you're still alive, actually.
Oh,
if
yeah.
you were having some anaphylactic reactions, because it can reach the point where you can't breathe and you die, you know?
Yeah, I'm very lucky that I'm still alive. And the histamines and all those chemicals the mast cells release, they can they eat away at your bones, they can cause osteoporosis, they can cause heart problems. And I really think the only reason that I am, alive and so healthy is because of the vegan diet. It's just, it's very hard to get sick, I think, when you're eating on a healthy vegan diet. And the irony is, it's very hard for me to get diagnosed with this disorder. I don't have even a written diagnosis. A doctor treats me for it, but I don't have a written diagnosis because I'm too healthy to be diagnosed. And it's because of the vegan diet that I'm not sick enough to be diagnosed with this disorder.
Anymore.
Yeah, yeah.
Anymore. Yeah, 110 pounds ago, I would have been sick enough to get a good diagnosis.
Yeah. Now, there's a picture the guys have scanned today. You've lost a lot of weight because of being really careful about what you eat. And so we have a picture of your college graduation picture that the guys are going to show the
Yeah.
difference in how you look then and...
Yeah, I don't even recognize myself in old photos. It's a big change. It's over 110 pounds
that you lost.
that I've lost.
Yeah, you look great, really.
Yeah, thank you.
really do.
Yeah. So that was a scary thing when you were discovering what was going on. Being a librarian, she has good research skills. So, but watching from a distance where she lived 2 hours away, watching go through this process of eliminating foods and things and being down to not even be able to drink water because she's allergic to the tap water in
where I
Wellsville.
live.
The scary thing is in your reactions. What was I trying to say there? Where was I going with that? But yeah, it's allowed you to lose the weight.
Right.
Oh, I know what I was going to say. Here, she'd been a vegan for, what, 7 or 8 years?
Yeah, at that point I'd been vegan 6.5 years, eating a low-fat, high plant food, high-fiber diet.
And she lost a good amount of weight. You lost about 50 pounds or so, and it would go back up. But when her cholesterol was tested, her cholesterol was really high. And the longer she'd be tested, the cholesterol was still rising. Now, she hadn't eaten any dietary cholesterol in over like 7 years, so we knew that her body was producing it for some reason, and the doctor just said it was genetics, but she knew that she wanted to get to the bottom of why her body was doing this, because here she's doing everything she can to eat healthy, and she still has high cholesterol that could do her in. She didn't want to die of a heart attack,
Right.
having worked so
you
hard
couldn't
at eating
understand why you had high cholesterol and a weight problem when you were eating such a strict diet.
Yeah, eating so many whole plant foods and no fat, and it was
No refined foods.
Yeah,
Yeah, so she knew that she had inflammation somewhere in her body, that something was causing her body to react, and that kind of got her started at looking at allergies.
Yeah, I
and
looked
the
into
internet helped quite a bit, and Dr. Greger.
everything. Yeah, I'd met Dr. Michael Greger at some conferences and asked him about the cholesterol issue. Like, I said, what can I do? And it was basically the things that I was already doing was eating oats and ground flax and lots of legumes, leafy greens, nuts, and no oil. And I was doing that for years, and it wasn't having an effect. And he told me, he said, keep looking. He said, your body wants to be healthy, and you have to figure out what you're doing that stops it from being healthy. And then I found it. It took a good year of searching and researching everything I could to find the answer, but I found it.
Well, you're lucky that you've been able to meet so many great experts. You volunteer to work at the Vegetarian Summerfest. Is it in Johnstown, Pennsylvania every summer?
Yeah, I'm volunteer staff in the Children's Center there. It's a fabulous conference.
Yeah, it really is. I hope I get to go to it one of these days. We had, there was a Veg Fest the last Saturday in September in Erie, Pennsylvania. That was very, very nice. I wish a lot of people from this area had gone to it. They had some really famous and famous people and everything that were speaking there, that speaking the truth, like there was a married couple that are bodybuilders, and they were that are vegan, and they were talking about how it's a myth that you have to eat meat to build those great big muscles and things, and
Yeah, I met them at Summerfest.
You met
I have
them
their son in
too?
the Children's Center.
Oh yeah, they have 2 small children, really cute kids. Yeah, and the husband is certified to teach nutrition apparently, and that was pretty interesting. And then there was somebody there that was a Dr. Oppenlander that was talking about the horrible things that are happening to the environment because of the animal food industry. I mean, it was kind of like the movie that Al Gore made, except that Dr. Oppenlander's version was all of the stuff that Al Gore left out.
Yeah, if you get a chance to see, what is it, Cowspiracy?
Cowspiracy.
A documentary talking
Is
about...
it a movie that
It's a documentary.
A documentary?
Yeah, full-length documentary about organizations like Greenpeace and things like that, that they
Sierra
don't quite
Club.
go far enough. They don't mention animal agriculture. And animal agriculture is like the biggest contributor to greenhouse gases.
Yeah, this Dr. Oppenlander mentioned, the last time I'd heard was that it was 51% of the greenhouse gases came from animal agriculture, but this speaker was saying that now they found it's really 56%. So, and that it's actually safer to drive your car
Yeah.
It's safer for the environment for you to eat fruits and vegetables that have to be trucked across the country first than it is if you eat meat that's grown, that your neighbor has grown.
Yeah, that's why I first became vegan, was I had read about the environmental impact of meat, and I thought, this is insane. Like, why are we doing this when we don't need to? There's so many good plant foods out there.
Now, you brought your copy of How Not to Die by Dr.
Yeah,
Michael
hold that up.
Greger, so that you can show it to them. Why don't you tell our viewing audience something about what the book is about?
Okay, well, Dr. Greger is, he's the head of nutritionfacts.org, and he also works for the Humane Society as their medical advisor.
He
And,
serves on the United Nations Pandemic Committee.
Yeah,
Oh,
so he's an
really?
expert on, human health, but his hobby is reading nutrition information. So he reads every English language nutrition journal in the world, and he kind of combs through them and finds the really interesting stuff, and he combines it, and he makes 1 or 2 minute videos, humorous videos, condensing that into like real human language, not doctor speak. And then he took this book and compiled all that information in one to show you it's not how to not die, because we're all going to die some way, but it's how not to die from diabetes, how not to die from different cancers. And it's really about eating a research-based diet, not just vegan, but based on how can I get the optimal nutrition out of my diet.
I remember I read the book this winter. Ann Watkins gave me a copy of it because she wanted me to read it. And I was impressed also with his sense of humor.
Yeah.
And you maybe remember a story in the book about when he was going to medical school and used to a medical school in the middle of Chinatown or something like that. And so he'd go to a Chinese grocery store, and he was trying all of these exotic fruits and things. And do you remember the story he told about when he bought a durian?
Oh,
Something
yes.
called a durian.
Durian, yeah.
And they sell them frozen.
For a reason.
For a reason. And so anyways, he went to, he bought one of those, and he cut a piece of it off to eat, and decided that he didn't really like the way it tasted or anything. But when he went back to his dormitory or wherever he was living for the night, he left it in his locker. And when he came back the next morning, it smelled really bad.
Yes.
In the building there near his locker. There was a really bad odor, and the maintenance staff was cutting the locks off of all the lockers. They thought that somebody had been stealing dead body parts from the cadaver lab.
Yeah.
And at first it didn't occur to him, but after a little bit he's going, oh gosh, it must be that durian I left in my locker all night. So he said he had to go to the dean and drag himself into the dean's office to beg forgiveness. And the dean said he'd already been in trouble a couple of times before in medical school, and he said the dean said to him something about, I should have figured it had something to do with you.
Yeah.
But I thought that was such a funny story.
Yeah.
He does have a sense of humor.
Yeah, he does, doesn't he?
We call it nutrition stand-up comedy.
Nutrition stand-up comedy.
Well, at Vegetarian Summerfest, he is the big headlining speaker every year, and people go crazy. You know, everyone waits for him. We have T-shirts, family T-shirts that we've made with his face on them because we're Greger groupies.
Greger groupies.
Yeah, but people always want the T-shirt. They're like, "Where'd you get that? I want a T-shirt too." But he is famous.
We've
Everyone
learned a
loves
lot
him.
from him. He's definitely made us a healthier family.
Oh yes.
Because we just know so much. We know now when we cook, no matter what we cook, put that garlic and onion in there first and smack the garlic 5 or 10 minutes before you cook it. And you're going to get so much more benefit. Whoever knew that?
Yeah.
Did you know that if you cut up your broccoli like an hour or two before you cook it, it's much healthier for you. There's chemical reactions that take place.
Right.
But then when you cook it, those enzymes are lost.
Uh-huh.
But if you put a pinch, just a pinch of mustard powder on it, it reactivates the enzymes. So now I know when I cook broccoli, I put a pinch of mustard powder. Nobody even notices it. But I know we're all getting a greater benefit from eating that broccoli.
Yeah.
A
yeah.
lot of
I
little
guess
nuggets
there's,
in, like,
I
in
guess
there.
there's things like, what did they say? Dr. Joel Furman. I can't remember the word, but it has to do with greens, beans, onions, garlic, and what else was
Yeah,
it?
something bomb. G-bomb.
G-bomb, yeah.
G-bomb.
Oh, G-bomb.
Greens, beans, onions. I
So
don't
you know
remember them
you're
all.
getting
Mushrooms.
Mushrooms,
Mushrooms
okay.
is what the M is for, yeah. Mushrooms, and there would be another B, and then,
I don't know what the last B was for.
It's a great way
My
to
brother would
remember,
know that one.
to remember the important things to eat. Dr.
Yeah.
Greger actually has a free app for your phone that's called Dr. Greger's Daily Dozen, and there are a dozen things that you should eat every day. You can go in, it has how many servings you should have, and you can click, oh, I had a fruit, I'll click that. I had some whole grains, I'll click that. And it gives you a percentage of how close you are to having the optimal nutrition that day. It's a fun little free app.
Yeah, it's a great app
But
for weight loss too, because if you try to get all those things in, there's not room for the junk food.
right.
So
right.
I've lost a lot of the weight I've lost in the last year.
If you eat enough of the good stuff, you won't have room for the junk
Right.
food.
Yeah.
Yep. So now, Mary, you have a song. I think you were the one that wrote it. Was
Yeah,
it?
years ago.
A
Yeah.
song. You wrote a song about being vegan.
Yeah, I did.
It has something to do with a bunny.
Yes.
So Mary forgot to bring her. She lives in Wellsville now, and when she came yesterday to her parents' house, she forgot to bring the guitar with her, but they
Yeah.
had a ukulele there. So
Yeah, I borrowed my mom's ukulele, so it's color-coded, but we'll play it anyway. Yeah, so when I was first vegan, we read a quote from Kafka, and when he first became a vegetarian, he was in an aquarium, I think, and he saw a fish swimming in an aquarium, and he looked at the fish and he said, "I can look at you in peace, for I no longer eat you." And I thought, what a great idea. So I wrote the song. All right, here we go.
Peace, love, and Kafka.
Peace, love, and Kafka. Right. On a night not so long ago, I had myself a dream where I chanced to meet a little fish a-swimming in a stream. And that little fish, he said to me, "Say, I know you, friend. You used to eat my family, but now that's at an end. You can look at me in peace as I swim around so free. So thanks for doing your part to extend my family tree. What can I do to thank you on behalf of all the fish?" So then I told him, "Listen, I already got my wish. I can look at you in peace, for I no longer eat you. And now we got to talking, I sure am glad to meet you. I took some time to come around, but now it's really true that I'm feeling one with everything, and that's including you." Oh, I forgot to turn the next page. Sorry. So then as I continued to walk, a turkey gobbled past. He seemed to want to stop and chat because he wasn't moving fast. He said, "Cluck, cluck, I bet you're proud of the decision you have made." I said, "I'm sorry I took so long. I'm sorry for the birds who paid." He said, "But now when you look at me, it's with a peaceful gaze. I just hope that this choice of yours will last for all your days." I said, you know, I guess till now I've been acting kinda jerky. I used to love a turkey club, but now I gobble tofurkey. I can look at you in peace, for I no longer eat you. And now we got to talking, I sure am glad to meet you. We took some time to come around, but now it's really true that I'm feeling one with everything, and that's including you. A little further down the path, I chanced upon a bunny. I guessed it was time for another talk, 'cause he was looking at me funny. Sure enough, he opened his mouth and his tiny voice came forth. I'm glad you realize now, he said, what a bunny's life is worth. And now's your chance to apologize for all the bunnies you've wronged. I said, hold on, I never ate a bunny. He said, but I'm in your song. What kind of dream is this? I never even thought about eating a bunny. He said, but now we're a team. But shh, he said, don't worry none. You know, it's just a dream. I can look at you in peace, for I no longer eat you. And now we got to talking, I sure am glad to meet you. I took some time to come around, but now it's really true that I'm feeling one with everything, and that's including you.
Yay! That is adorable.
Thanks.
It was a long time ago you wrote that.
Yeah, I've been vegan a long time. You forget how long. Yeah.
Yeah, really, yeah. Yeah, it's like people don't realize what it's like for the animals. When I was at that Veg Fest the last Saturday in September, I picked up some stuff. There were people from PETA there handing out their information. And, you know, it's unpleasant just to read about what the animals go through, or to look at the pictures in the information.
Yeah, it's very hard.
It really is. To be there, I don't know how anybody could stand it. You know, it's.
Yeah, you know, the whole first year I was vegan, I didn't think about the animals at all. You know, I did it for the environment and then for my health. And it wasn't until I was vegan almost a full year that all of a sudden I made the connection between the animals have feelings. I was watching a documentary at my first vegetarian Summerfest, and it was Peaceable Kingdom, The Journey Home.
Oh, yeah.
And I saw this clip of these baby chicks playing, and I'm like, oh, yeah, how cute, baby chicks playing. And then they got scared, and they ran, and they hid under their mother's wing, and the mother just kind of fluffed up, and they were completely hidden. And I thought, you know, when I get scared, I go and tuck myself under my mom's arm. And it's like, all of a sudden I made that connection that the relationship they have with each other is the same as I have with other people. It's like, and once you see that, there's really no going back. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. I know Anne. There's a story. Anne Dinshaw is going to be on my next episode of this program, and I'm going to be asking her to tell a story about the man, or the guy that took her shopping. There's a story about the guy that took her shopping, and the reason she. They went to a thrift store, and the reason that she. Decided that she wouldn't buy the leather halter top that he thought she should buy. So that's going to be interesting. She talked about that the last time she spoke at one of our Vegetarian Society dinners. And by the time this program airs, it'll already have been over with, but she's got a progressive dinner in the Fredonia area in the works that sounds like it's going to be fun. Do you think you and Arnie are coming?
We're hoping to, yeah.
Yeah, so...
looks like a good meal.
Yeah, it
They get
really...
to walk around Fredonia
really
and
does.
meet some people, and I think it sounds like a nice evening.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I really do. So... So anyway, you were probably quite happy when you found out that Mary had found a solution to this problem she'd been having for many years.
Yes and no. Like I said, it was a scary time because she'd figured out what was happening. She was trying to eliminate her triggers, and in doing so, she eliminated just about everything she ate.
Yeah, I
And
spent a week eating just like almonds and bottled water.
Almonds, bottled water, and she was finally able to add one brand of frozen green beans.
Yeah.
And it's like, how many ways can you prepare those three
Yeah.
items? And I thought, is this going to be her life, that she is going to be eating just green beans and water her life in order to stay healthy? And through her experimentation with different foods, which is a scary thing. She usually doesn't try a new food unless she comes home and people are around her. But she's able to find a good number of foods that she can eat, and strategies for canning food, sources for finding no-spray fruits, because otherwise she can't have any apples or fruits. And it's been just a lot of work, and I'm worried about her. And sometimes I still feel sad because I think she can't go home and order a pizza when she's tired, or we can't celebrate by going out for a meal, or there's so much that she's missing, but yet I see her face and I see that the dark circles are gone, and I see that her weight is down. I see that she's happier, bright-eyed, and is enjoying life, and so that's really rewarding. But it's been kind of scary to watch it, and watch you go through the process.
Although the funniest thing is, people will say to me, your diet must be so limited. And why would you be vegan and limit your diet further? It's like, I am sure, a much wider variety of food than most people I know, even with my allergies.
You haven't had what is it, the durian?
Durian. I haven't had
I
durian.
just had that.
Yeah, I know Dr. Greger said he never bought another one after that.
Yeah.
But
I remember I was telling somebody about that story, this one person that I was telling it to said, you're not allowed to bring durians on airplanes.
Yeah.
That it's actually illegal to bring a durian on an airplane.
But since being vegan, I've eaten, I don't think I ever had collards before. I don't think I had kale. I never had a dragon fruit. I never had lychees?
Yeah, lychees were a new one for you this summer.
And rambutans, exotic fruits.
Have you ever had burdock?
Oh, well.
Well, she grew up Italian, so we've eaten a lot of burdock.
So, we have garduni. We pick it every spring, and we keep it in the freezer we eat it on St. Joseph's Day in March.
St. Joseph's Day?
Yeah, that's a family tradition. Sicilian relatives over the years.
Our family tradition is naturally a vegetarian meal. We eat almost vegan.
Yeah, well, we've changed a lot of our family. We haven't changed the traditions. We've veganified them. We make our own little butter lamb out of our homemade butter. Now with Mary's diet, I have to make all our own ketchup and things. So at Easter time, we grind horseradish together. We make our own vegan sausage instead of the Italian or Polish sausage. We make our own Easter breads that are vegan. So
I know you've
and still keep our traditions.
You've really aced the art of vegan cooking, Joanne. She brings to our vegetarian society dinners the most seemingly decadent desserts, and yet they're safe to eat.
Yeah, you can see from my cheeks that you don't starve on a vegan diet.
No, you don't, do you?
Once you learn to bake vegan, you're fine.
Yeah, and your brother Mary bakes too, doesn't he?
Yeah, he likes to make cookies. He doesn't cook things that I can eat, but he's on the road. So what he eats is probably a lot healthier than what the average American eats, but it's still not healthy enough for me. Not yet. He'll get there.
I remember him coming to a few of our dinners in past years, and I remember him bringing the most delicious vegan chocolate chip cookies made with vegan organic chocolate chips, and they were good, really, really good. So
I was just saying on Facebook this morning that people think, well, how can you bake without eggs? And really, baking vegan is so much easier than baking with eggs and dairy. You don't have to crack the eggs and get the mess all over. It's all stuff in the pantry.
Well, one time last winter, I went to bake some. Normally, I would use water and some ground up flaxseed. you know, in place of eggs. And I remember going to bake some brownies one day that I was going to take to the dinner the next night or something like that. And I realized I didn't have any, no, wait, it's arrowroot powder that I use with water, yeah, you know, in place of the eggs. But anyway, I had run out of, but I think you can do the flax seed too.
Yeah, we use flaxseed for everything. It adds more fiber too.
So, but anyway, I was all out of, I didn't have anything. And I thought, well, I had some cornstarch in the house, and I'm thinking, well, that'll probably work just as well as the arrowroot powder. Haven't people been telling me that arrowroot powder is about the same as
Yeah, we switched it the other way.
cornstarch? But so I tried that, and when the brownies were finished baking, they just crumbled into crumbs. I couldn't cut it and take them out of the baking pan or anything. They just fell into crumbs. So I never tried baking anything like that with cornmeal again, or I mean the cornstarch again. So so
Yeah,
that didn't
sometimes you
work out.
fail, but you experiment, and then you
Learn and
sometime-
move on.
Yeah, you learn how
Well,
to move on.
we didn't want to waste the food, you know, so
Oh,
my
yeah.
husband and I just sort of had crumbs every night for dessert until we ate it all up.
And we would have made some banana ice cream and put the crumbs all
Is
over
that
and made a
what you would
sundae.
have done, the banana ice cream? That's what those bodybuilders were talking about, that were at that Veg Fest we went to in September. They were saying that they eat banana ice cream, they make banana ice cream every day.
Yeah.
And they just flavor it differently every time. They didn't say exactly how they did it. I'm assuming that they froze the bananas and put them through, and then put them through a blender
You can do
or
it in a
something.
blender, but
We both have
a-
machines that do it.
I've got a Yonana, and you've got a.
I've got a
Are they regular
Fro-Free.
ice cream making machines?
No, it's specifically for bananas.
Oh, it
and
is?
So I bring it to school, and I do it with the kids. It's like a special treat if they win a prize. You know, the other teachers do pizza parties, and we do banana ice cream.
Yeah.
And you just put frozen bananas in and press it, and it comes out like a swirled soft serve ice cream.
Yeah.
Wow.
My husband's favorite is with, I put in some vegan chocolate chips and frozen cherries. So it's a cherry chip ice cream. And that is really good.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and we do, but mostly we do banana milkshakes, and that's just, we do, you know, hemp seeds and water and a frozen banana.
And
Throw
some
in
dates.
some dates, maybe some spinach. I threw in spinach. She doesn't do spinach in hers, but
Well, you know, there was a food truck at that Veg Fest. I mean, there were a lot of, several different food vendors there serving food, and that was already prepared to eat. And there was this one food truck outside the building, and my husband and I had vegan milkshakes that we got. It was an all vegan food truck. And at the end of the afternoon, well, for lunch we'd had like Indian food from an Indian restaurant that's over in Erie, and then later on we had some vegan pizza. But we wanted to have, we finally got to have some of those vegan milkshakes from the food truck at the end of the afternoon, and they were made with what's known as rice dream ice cream and rice milk instead of dairy. And boy, were those ever delicious, those shakes. I had a chocolate one, and my husband had one called Cookie Monster. Must have had some cookie stuff in it or something, I'm not sure. But one of the things that impressed us the most about that food truck was that they had driven all the way from Michigan with this food truck. This food truck, it runs on vegetable oil instead of gasoline and the kind of oil that most cars are run on, and that really impressed us a lot. So so that was really
yeah.
That was really, really fun. And who else do you have at the comes to the Vegetarian Summerfest? T. Colin Campbell?
Yeah, T. Colin Campbell's been there a few times. He's a really big name in nutrition.
Neil Barnard.
Neil Barnard, who he's written several books on reversing type 2 diabetes, which we now know is a totally reversible disease.
Yes,
it's good to know.
yes, it is. It really is.
So many people suffer, and so actually, last year I heard Dr. Hans Diehl, who's another expert on diabetes, speaking about oil and even plant oils as contributing to type 2 diabetes. And so I started eating oil-free last summer to try to lower my diabetes risk because we have a family history. And I didn't realize that my allergies got so much more stable and
when you quit
I
using oils.
Yeah, so there were a lot of additional health benefits, and I'd always thought, well, olive oil's healthy.
Yeah,
but really we shouldn't be eating any refined oils, any whole plant foods, nuts and seeds.
George Eisman, they say extra virgin olive oil is the best one to use, but I remember George Eisman telling us that he'd rather see people, even though there's salt in olives, but he said he'd rather see people eat the whole olives than the extra virgin olive oil, because the extra virgin olive oil is not a whole food.
Right.
So he'd rather see people eat the whole olive instead of
I thought it would be hard cooking without oil. And it's a challenge, but you learn ways around it.
It depends on what it is. It depends on what it is, too. I remember bean salad has always, usually, if you see a recipe for like 3-bean salad, it usually calls for oil along with the vinegar. But my husband and I have discovered that we enjoy eating the bean salad more without the olive oil in it, because if you have oils in the bean salad and then you have to store it in the refrigerator, the leftovers, then it winds up feeling greasy and everything. And we like it so much better without the oil. And I've, just various different things. Now a lot of people put, when they cook pasta, they'll put vegetable oil in the water. Well, in the cooking water for the pasta, and I've gotten away from doing that too. And I actually find I like the foods better when there's no oil in them.
Yeah, I always thought to roast vegetables, you had to have oil on them to roast them, but you don't. And they're so much healthier, especially because oil, when it's heated, oil and fat, when they're heated, can cause carcinogens. So it's eating the roasted vegetables without any oil is so much healthier, and you don't notice a huge taste difference.
And I guess it actually, even if the oils are not refined oils that you use, they can still clog up your arteries too.
Yeah. Any saturated fats. So especially no oils that are solid at room temperature. So a lot of people think coconut oil is really healthy, but coconut oil
it's solid at room temperature.
It's solid at room temperature, so it's not a healthy oil at all. But a lot of people, there's been a lot of good press, a lot of hype about coconut oil. So that's a big misconception, I think.
Yeah, you for a long time there, you were hearing about canola oil was safe to use and like that. And now they're finding out that it really isn't. And I can't remember, there was something about it that was sort of odd. I can't eat canola because it usually has corn in it. They use citric acid when they produce it.
Oh, do they?
Yeah. So don't they in some of the olive oils even? Too?
Yeah, a lot of olive oils are cut with other oils. It's a big issue apparently. But there's one brand of olive oil that I use that I know is corn safe. There are probably others. But I have one brand that I use, and it's the only one that I use.
Well, you don't use much.
I use probably less than a teaspoon a week. And really, the only reason I use it at all is because I use a rice cooker, and I'm really lazy. And if you put one drop of oil in the rice cooker, it doesn't bubble over onto your counter.
Oh, I see.
So it's a lot easier to clean up.
I see.
So it's really just because I'm lazy.
And you eat a lot of, quite often if you're eating at a buffet or something, you said you can eat like beans. Or this was at the Vegetarian Summerfest, maybe you said
Oh,
that
at Vegetarian Summerfest, yeah.
you could get,
I can usually eat there. I can eat the plain beans and the plain brown rice, and that's usually it. But there it's really nice because they have the ingredients listed on every food item, so you can know right away if there's something in there that you can't eat or not. And they have a whole section of oil-free foods, a whole oil-free buffet, and so I can get a lot from there.
and then you're pretty limited as to what kind of fruits you can eat.
Yeah, fruits are tougher to find corn-free. Citrus fruits you can sometimes find. Right now it's apple season. I really want apples, but I'm very sensitive to the sprays that are used on apples. So it's a struggle to find those.
Yeah, there's one local farm here that we've been able to go to out in Northeast.
Northeast Pennsylvania.
Yeah. Yeah, but
They don't
vegetables, I do pretty well with vegetables, so I eat a wide variety of vegetables.
Yeah. Now, about that list of different things that are listed on lists of ingredients on the products in the store, people might like to see that list. If they, where can they go to get that list? You said that
Yeah, I think it's cornallergens.com.
cornallergens.com,
Yeah, but it's-
and if they go there, they can get a list of that list.
Yeah, I think they have one of the most comprehensive lists. It's hard to know because there are so many things that could be corn or could be something else. So a lot of things you just have to, if you don't know, you have to assume it's corn. Same with, they could be soy. So if you have a soy allergy, you'd have to assume that it's soy, which I don't, thankfully. I eat tons of soy. But, so there's a lot of calling companies involved and asking deep questions, you know.
Right.
You have to call up and say, what is your vitamin E made from? And that one is usually either
Sometimes
corn or
it's
sunflower.
actually in vitamin E oil capsules then, right?
Yeah, well, they add vitamin E to a lot of foods as a preservative. Sometimes they call it mixed tocopherols. That's also vitamin E. But a lot of times that's made from corn, almost always. Otherwise, it's made from sunflower, which is fine. So you just always have to contact the companies. They say, I've heard people say, oh, 50% of the foods in the grocery store have corn, but it's really more like 99.9%.
That much.
Even-
at least
even the
the
produce.
packaged foods.
The produce, any of the lettuces are rinsed in citric acid to keep them fresh.
Is that stuff that sprays out from above them onto the?
I don't
Some
know.
places it is, but I
that
think
is.
usually that's just water. But any in the bagged salads, it's
When they say like
citric
triple
acid.
washed, it's washed with citric acid in the water.
Oh.
All the citrus fruit usually has a wax coating on it, that's corn. Apples, and you can read it right on the bag, and sometimes apples aren't vegan because they're coated with wax, and they'll say right on there, tallow.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so look at the bag of apples, you'd be surprised.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about the apples that are like in bulk where you hand pick each one?
Yeah, I don't know how you can tell for sure.
But
But you
no
wouldn't
way
eat
of
them.
No, I don't eat any apples from the store, but it's hard to tell. There's a lot of labeling loopholes. So in a grocery store, if you look in a produce section, they have a sign usually somewhere that says, these vegetables are coated in food grade waxes, and they'll just list all the vegetables. But then you don't know. So you could buy a pepper, and the pepper could be coated in wax or could be not. So it's very hard to tell.
And things like carrots, root vegetables, especially carrots, she always gets organic because all these things we've learned. We didn't know that carrots absorb toxins more than other vegetables.
Oh, I didn't know
And sometimes
that.
farmers will even plant carrots to absorb the toxins from their soil, to clean their soil up.
Really?
So when it comes,
my
there are some things we always only get organic, and carrots are one of those things.
Right. Potatoes we always only get organic because they're sprayed with corn-based bud nip spray to keep them from sprouting. So my potatoes are always sprouting. But you live with that?
Well, my husband plants a huge vegetable garden every year, and one of the things that he plants is potatoes. So we basically only eat potatoes that he grows. And when we run out of them, like maybe, let's say, around the month of June or something like that, then we take the summer off from eating potatoes until his next crop comes in. But potatoes isn't one of the very most nutritious foods, so you don't really want to overdo it eating them either.
White potatoes, I think are on Dr. Greger's red light list.
They're on his red light list?
Yeah, but anything with a colored flesh is better. So purple potatoes, yellow potatoes, sweet potatoes, all in that, and they're better for you.
Yeah.
So we usually go with a yellow. It's kind of middle of the road. It's not really good for you, but not really bad for you either.
Well, you know, mushrooms, I found out I had Bill Kuick on back in the spring one time on my program to talk about mushrooms. He grows mushrooms. And he was talking about how actually mushrooms can suck toxins out of, he said that the myceli, the part of the mushroom that the part that you eat grows out of, there was somebody had planted some of that on top of an oil spill or something, and it cleaned that up real good. Of course, you wouldn't be able to eat
Couldn't eat those
those mushrooms after that. And I'm kind of wondering but I also have always heard that mushrooms have anti-cancer effects. And I'm kind of wondering if that's the reason, if maybe the mushrooms, when you eat them, if they suck toxins out of your body, maybe, you know, it might be part of it.
I know I've seen the videos on nutritionfacts.org, Dr. Greger's site, where they show the slides of the cancer cells when they drip blood of people who have eaten mushrooms even on it, how the cancer cells just break apart. They're destroyed by it. So that's why we say white button mushrooms at least once a week, at least.
Yeah, I try to eat some mushrooms every day. The mushrooms are really good for strengthening your immune system too.
Oh yeah.
But they boost your immune system, but they dampen the part of your immune system that has allergic reactions.
And it's one of the few food sources of vitamin D also. Yeah. Well, we're down to a minute and a half now, so if there's anything that you really wanted to get out there to our viewing audience, anything else you want to say?
Well, one thing people tell me is they say they can't be vegan because it costs too much, but I spend so much less on groceries than everyone I know. And I was just looking yesterday at a bag of lentils and realizing a bag of lentils is 15 cents a serving.
Right.
You can't beat that. And she just bought some kale at the store for 69 cents.
I know. Any of the legume family is like the most economical, the lowest priced food you can literally get in the grocery store.
And this is the International Year of Pulses, according to the United Nations. So eat all the legumes and pulses you can.
Oh yeah, really. And how about you, Joanne?
Yeah, same thing. And they say like purple cabbage is like one of the best vegetables, best bang for your buck, nutrition-wise. The least amount of cost for the most amount of nutrition. So yeah, it's not an expensive way to live.
Well, I'm so glad you were able to come on the program today. It's been a lot of fun, and maybe you can come on again sometime.
It's been fun.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Oh, you're welcome, and thank you for the beautiful song. We really enjoyed that, and I guess we've come to the end of another episode of Fresh Perspectives. So I'll see the rest of you in a couple of weeks.